Caveman built a wall of thorns around his baby. Then the forest tested his courage. The sun hung low, casting a warm, amber glow against the rugged stone faces of the shelter. The cave woman shifted slightly, cradling the baby closer, feeling the soft warmth of skin against her own. She pressed her cheek against the tender scalp, inhaling the sweet, milky scent that reminded her of the safety nestled within this rocky embrace. The elder sat near the mouth of the cave, his gnarled hands working deftly with a piece of bone. He fashioned a small amulet, its surface marked with intricate carvings. The cave woman watched him, her heart heavy with the weight of what was to come. Today was the day of the Rite of Shadows, a tradition passed down through generations, meant to protect the clan from the dark spirits that roamed the forest. The whispers of the elder echoed in her mind, the insistence that the offering appease the unseen forces that might snatch away the unwary. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the scent of rain and the raw, untamed earth. The cave woman's heart quickened. The storm would soon arrive, but it wasn't the gathering clouds that unnerved her. It was the distant sound of drums reverberating through the valley. The rival clan was near. Voices, sharp and hostile, drifted on the wind, and with each beat of the drum, her body tensed. She glanced at the elder, whose brow furrowed deeply, eyes narrowed against the growing darkness. "Prepare the spear," he rasped, his voice gravelly with age. "They come for what is ours." The cave woman nodded, scrambling to her feet. The cave's damp earth felt cold beneath her bare toes as she moved quickly to a pile of stone tools. She selected a spear, its tip crafted from sharpened flint, glistening ominously in the firelight. With it, she felt a surge of courage, but it was tempered by the fear of confrontation. "Stay close to the fire," she instructed the child, who clutched a smooth stone tightly, eyes wide and unblinking. "Do not stray." The child nodded, though his gaze wandered to the entrance, curiosity mingling with trepidation. The cave woman's heart ached for him, torn between the need to protect and the instinct to defend their home. Thunder rolled, a deep growl that shook the very stones of their shelter. The wind spiraled, whipping through the mouth of the cave, rattling the hanging skins and firewood. The elder's hands paused, the bone amulet resting on his lap. "Remember the shadows," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "We are strong together." The cave woman turned her attention outside, gripping the spear tightly. The drums grew louder, a sinister echo that thudded in her chest. The rival clan approached, their shouts rising in a chaotic chorus. She could hear the rustle of feet against the underbrush, the snapping of twigs and the sharp calls of warning through the trees. "Guard the entrance," the elder commanded. The cave woman stepped forward, heart racing, every instinct honed to razor sharpness. She felt the familiarity of the stone walls at her back, their cold presence both a comfort and a reminder of the weight of ancestral gaze upon her. The first figure emerged, tall and imposing, brandishing a crude weapon made of wood and sharpened stone. The cave woman took a deep breath, the metallic tang of fear flooding her senses. She tightened her grip, ready to defend her kin. "Leave this place," she shouted, her voice fierce despite the tremor in her hands. "You are not welcome here." The rival hunter laughed, a low, mocking sound that made her skin crawl. "What have you to protect you?" he sneered, gesturing to the fragile family behind her. "Only shadows? Only bones?" "Shadows are powerful," the elder spoke, rising slowly, the amulet glinting ominously in his hands. "They are part of the cycle, part of us. To trespass is to invite their wrath." The laughter faded, but the challenge lingered. The rival clan shifted, muscles tense, eyes narrowing. The cave woman felt the energy in the air thrum with potential violence. The storm roared overhead, the first drops of rain falling like daggers against the ground. "Your words are empty," the rival hunter called, advancing, his weapon raised. In that moment, the cave woman felt a surge of ancestral strength course through her. She stepped forward, spear thrust out, unwavering. "We protect our own," she declared, the weight of generations behind her. "You will not take what is ours." As the rival hunter lunged, the cave woman moved, her body instinctively responding. She sidestepped, the spear plunging forward, striking true against the flesh of the intruder. A gasp echoed through the air, mingling with the sound of the storm as the rain began to fall in earnest. a torrent that filled the valley with chaotic sound. The elder raised the amulet high, the symbols glistening against the darkening sky. "We call upon the spirits. We call upon the shadows." The wind whipped wildly, an otherworldly howl that drowned out all else. The cave woman's heart raced as she met the gaze of her child, who stood clutching the stone, wide-eyed and frightened. She felt the protective bond swell between them, an unbreakable thread woven in the fabric of the clan. The rival clan faltered, eyes shifting from the spear to the elder and the amulet. They hesitated, uncertainty creeping into their fierce resolve. The cave woman seized the moment, raising her spear again, voice fierce, echoing the strength of her ancestors. "Back to the shadows!" she called. "This is our home!" The storm raged on, but in that fleeting moment, the tide turned. The rival clan retreated, fear overtaking their initial bravado, leaving the cave woman standing firm, spear held high, a guardian of her kin against the tempest. The air crackled with energy. Danger had been averted, but the storm of nature still loomed, and the shadows whispered promises of trials yet to come. The winds howled like a pack of wolves, gnashing and clawing through the narrow crevices of the rocky shelter. Thunder rolled overhead, reverberating through the darkened cave. The flickering light of the fire danced against the stone walls, casting eerie shapes that twisted and writhed like specters of the past. The cave woman's heart raced, not from the fading threat of the rival clan, but from the relentless fury of the storm outside. With a sharp intake of breath, she turned back to the shelter, her eyes scanning the faces of her kin. The elder sat hunched, fingers tracing the cracks in the stone, mumbling rites of protection under his breath. The hunter crouched by the fire, stoking the embers to life, the acrid scent of wood smoke mingling with the dampness in the air. The child clung to the cave woman's leg, eyes wide, reflecting the flames, filled with the primal fear that only the young can know. "Stay close," she murmured, feeling the weight of the world resting heavily on her shoulders. The child nodded, trusting, even as the storm roared like a beast outside. The cave woman knelt, the cool stone beneath her grounding her. She ran her fingers through the child's hair, matted and wild, a patchwork of dirt and tears. Her gaze drifted to the baby, swaddled in animal pelts, oblivious to the chaos. The baby's breaths were soft, rhythmic, a fragile heartbeat against the backdrop of the tempest. "Fur and warmth," she whispered, wrapping the child's fingers around a small piece of dried meat. "We must be strong." The child nibbled, the taste of salt and sun lingering, a connection to calmer days. In this moment, the cave woman felt the pulse of her kin. The beat of survival thrummed in the air, thick like the smoke. Suddenly, a deafening crack split the night, and a rush of wind surged through the cave's entrance, extinguishing the fire. Darkness enveloped them, and the cave woman's heart thundered in her chest, a primal rhythm of fear and urgency. "Bring the stone," she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. The hunter scrambled, his hands fumbling for the flint. The elder's whisper grew frantic, weaving tales of the storm, of the spirits angry at their trespass. The cave woman grabbed the flaxen fibers she had spun earlier, fingers deftly twisting them into a makeshift torch. She struck the stone against stone, sparks igniting with a hiss. The flame flickered to life, a fragile beacon in the darkness. Eyes widened, the child clutched at her, seeking solace. The cave woman knelt again, the warmth of the flame igniting the shadows, illuminating the lines of worry etched on the elder's face. "Fear not. We are stronger together," she said, forcing hope into her words. But outside, the storm unleashed its fury, sending sheets of rain crashing against the rocky walls. Each drop echoed like a drum, a relentless beating, drowning out their whispers. The cave bore the weight of nature's rage, and the shadows danced with the flickering torchlight, a wild cacophony of movement and sound. "How long?" the hunter shouted over the din, his voice strained, holding tight to a spear, its tip glistening in the firelight. The elder's voice wavered. "Until the winds change, until the spirits are quiet." The cave woman felt a surge of fear, a cold tinge creeping into her bones. The rival clan had retreated, but they were not the only threat. The storm could wash away their home, expose them to predators lurking in the dark. A chill wind gusted through the entrance, and the child shivered. Gather the pelts, close the gaps, she barked, urgency igniting her words. The hunter moved to seal the entrance with stones, while the elder found the thickest hides to drape over the cracks, securing their shelter against the elements. The tempest shrieked, a wild thing. The cavewoman's hands worked feverishly, wrapping the fibers around the stones, securing them with ingenuity born from necessity. In moments the entrance was fortified, but the sound of the storm was a relentless enemy. Tell the stories, the elder urged, eyes dark and deep. It will keep the fear at bay. The cavewoman nodded, gathering her kin close, the warmth of their bodies a small comfort against the howling winds. She began, her voice steady, recounting tales of the great beasts that roamed the earth, of the hunt in the valley, when the sun kissed the grass, and the skies opened to reveal a world full of bounty. The child listened wide-eyed, clutching at her side, while the baby cooed softly, unaware of the storm's fury. The hunter settled beside them, eyes flicking to the cracks in the shadows, half listening, half guarding against the unknown. And under the weight of nature's turmoil, the cavewoman felt a spark ignite within her, a resilience born of the stories passed down through generations, of survival against all odds. The wind howled, and the rain hammered, yet within the cave, a flicker of hope remained. But shadows loomed, dark and restless, waiting, watching. Hours passed, marked only by the rhythm of the storm and the warmth of their shared breath. As the flicker of the flame began to wane, the cavewoman stood, hands on her hips, resolve hardening her features. "We must prepare," she declared, her voice cutting through the noise. The hunter looked up, brow furrowed. "For what?" "For when the storm breaks," she said. "We will hunt. We will gather. We must not show weakness." The elder nodded solemnly, rising to his feet, ancient knowledge illuminating his gaze. "We must offer a tribute, appease the spirits. The land is angry." The cavewoman felt a tremor of fear ripple through her, but she steeled herself. "What do we sacrifice?" The elder reached for the wooden talisman that hung from his neck, its surface worn smooth from years of handling. "The offering must be great, perhaps the last of our dried meat." The child watched, eyes brimming with uncertainty as her mother pondered. The cavewoman felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her. The notion of sacrifice, especially in a time of scarcity, felt like a knife at her throat. But this was their way, their belief. "Do it," she said finally, voice steady, though her heart ached. "We will find more." The elder sighed, and the hunter prepared to set out, gathering the remnants of their provisions. A solemnity enveloped them, thickening the air as they readied for the ritual. The cavewoman stepped back, feeling the child's small hand wrap around her finger, grounding her. Outside, the storm raged on, a fateful reminder of the unpredictable nature of life. The winds howled, a banshee's wail, but deep inside the cave, warmth flickered despite the encroaching darkness. As the hunter stepped outside with the offering, the cavewoman felt a surge of anxiety wash over her. She held her breath, fingers tightening around the child's hand, willing the rains to cease, the winds to quiet. In that moment, the storm felt personal, a battle between survival and the whims of the earth. She watched the hunter, a silhouette against the tempest, offering their sacrifice to the unseen spirits. The skies rumbled, a deep growl echoing through the cave, and for a heartbeat time seemed to freeze. Then a crack of thunder split the air, and the wind surged, fierce and wild. The cavewoman clutched her child, heart racing as the air crackled with the intensity of something ancient, a reckoning. And in that charged moment, she resolved. Whatever the outcome, they would face it together. The storm would not break their spirit. They were a tribe, forged in the fires of adversity, bound by blood and kinship against the relentless storms of life. The air thickened with tension as the hunter returned, face grim, unable to mask the trepidation. The cavewoman met his gaze, determination hardening her features. "We will endure," she promised, "for we are a part of this land, and it will not claim us." The storm continued to rage, but within the cave, a flicker of defiance ignited, an ember of hope against the darkened skies. The winds howled, but their voices rose above, weaving a tapestry of strength, echoing through the shadows, a promise of survival, a bond unyielding. The child pressed closer to the warmth of the fire, fingers tracing the rough texture of the stones. The flame danced, casting flickering shadows that played upon the cave walls like spirits whispering age-old secrets. The elder, with eyes clouded by time, spoke low, sharing tales of storms conquered and hunts survived. Each word resonated deep, a reminder of resilience woven through generations. Deep within the belly of the storm, the hunter watched the swirling chaos outside, his heart a steady drumbeat of purpose. Rain lashed against the entrance, but he felt no fear. It was the tempest that brought life. The river swelled. The earth drank deeply. He gripped his sharpened spear, the stone tip glistening with promise. Tomorrow he would venture out. A sound, a soft whimper. The baby stirred, small and vulnerable in the arms of the cave woman. She hushed the infant, her voice a soothing balm amidst the thunderous roars. She glanced at the hunter, her eyes pleading, "Stay close, the rivals may hunt in this weather." The thought clawed at him. The rival clan, their shadows lengthening with each storm. Desperation pushed them to the edge, and the cave woman knew it. They could be lurking, waiting to seize any weakness. A flicker of doubt ignited in the hunter's mind, but he quelled it, focusing instead on the warmth radiating from the fire. "Peril or not, we hunt," he declared, resolve hardening. The elder nodded, a glimmer of approval sparking in his weary eyes. To survive is to embrace the wild. Outside, the storm roared, a beast unleashed, but the cave stood defiant. Water pooled at the mouth, the ground transformed into a mire, and within the earth's embrace, they gathered. The cave woman felt the weight of the world outside, yet here she was anchored by her kin. "We prepare, we will not fall." Gathering the pelts, she draped them over the child, creating a barrier against the chill. The smell of damp earth mixed with the sharp tang of wood smoke, wrapping around them like a protective shroud. The hunter rummaged through their meager supplies, fingers brushing against the coarse fibers of a fishing net. "Tomorrow," he murmured, "we'll fish when the river swells." "We will be ready." The elder's voice rose, commanding attention. "Sacrifice must be made for survival. We honor the spirits of the hunt. We do not take lightly." The cave woman's heart pounded. Rituals were sacred, but so were her children. And if the rivals approach? Silence fell like a heavy cloak. The hunter's jaw tightened. "We will defend what is ours." The cave woman shivered, not from the cold, but from the weight of the words they exchanged, the understanding that survival demanded more than just strength. It called for unity, and she felt it, an unbreakable thread binding them all, every heart and soul woven together. Outside, the winds howled, echoing their tension, as if nature herself held her breath. The child nestled against her, innocence wrapped in promise. The cave woman brushed the baby's hair, soft as clouds. "Fear not, little one. The storm shall pass." The hunter gazed at the shadows flickering, the fire crackling like distant thunder. Tomorrow would come, and with it, the sacred hunt. He would return with food, with life, with the fire of survival firmly blazing within their hearts. With the storm's fury raging, the cave woman's instincts surged. Her hands trembled, yet she spoke with clarity. "We gather, we stand. The strength of the clan is our shield, and the bond of family our weapon." The elder's voice was like gravel. "And we honor those who came before us. We light the fire to guide them home." As the night deepened, the rain drummed a relentless rhythm against the stone, each drop a reminder of what they fought against, what they protected. The hunter prepared his tools, hands deftly wrapping cords of sinew around the spear. The cave woman's heart raced with a mixture of dread and defiance, her instincts sharp as the stone edge of a blade. Their voices intertwined, rising and falling with the storm's ferocity, a chorus of survival, a vow to the wild that thrummed around them. With each heartbeat, the cave pulsed, a living fortress, sheltering not just bodies but hopes, dreams, and a fierce will to endure. Tomorrow, the sun would rise over the jagged peaks, casting long shadows that danced across the valley. The caveman lay awake, heart pounding, listening for the soft rustle of danger. The scent of wet earth filled his nostrils, ominous like a warning. The cave woman stirred beside him, her breath a gentle rhythm, comforting yet fragile. She clutched their child, a small bundle wrapped in soft furs, oblivious to the tension that thrummed in the air. A distant roar pierced the night, deep and hungry. The hunter gripped his spear, fingers brushing the sharp flint tip. He exchanged a glance with the elder who sat at the entrance, eyes narrowed against the darkness, jaw set tight. "Rival clan," the elder whispered, voice low like a growl. The caveman nodded, pulse quickening. They had seen the signs, the broken branches, the crushed underbrush. Sacrifices would be needed. The baby stirred and soft whimpers filled the cave, mingling with the wind's mournful howl. "Protect," the cave woman urged, her gaze fierce. He could feel the weight of their world pressing in, a tapestry woven of instincts and ancient fears. The night closed around them, a cloak of uncertainty, yet hope flickered like the dying embers. The crackling of the dwindling fire was the only sound that dared breach the heavy silence. Shadows danced on the cave walls, twisting in impossible shapes, mocking the fears that gripped the hearts of the tribe. The caveman stared into the flames, each spark a reminder of what was at stake. The baby's whimpers echoed softly, a desperate plea for warmth and comfort. The cave woman, her brow furrowed, knelt beside their child, cradling the small form in her arms. She could almost taste the bitter tang of anxiety in the air, a sharp contrast to the earthy scent of the cave's damp stone. "We must hunt," she murmured, her voice a low rumble. "The cold is coming. The child needs food." "Yes," the caveman replied, his voice thick with resolve. "But the rival clan prowls the forest. Our territory shrinks with every day." He clenched his fists, knuckles white against the rugged stone. The memory of the last encounter played in his mind, the fierce eyes, the war paint smeared across faces, the taunting laughter echoing in the twilight. "We cannot wait," the cave woman insisted, her determination igniting a flicker of hope. "We have to gather more. If we do not act, we will lose everything." She shifted the baby gently, the heat of its tiny body warming her chest. The child needed sustenance, but so did the tribe. The elder had fallen silent, his face a map of weariness. He had seen too much in his days. The struggles, the sacrifices. A whisper of the past echoed in his bones, tales of ancestors who thrived and those who perished. "The spirits are restless," he finally spoke, his voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "They demand a sacrifice. Only then can we be shielded from the storm." The words hung heavy in the air, a palpable weight. The cave woman met the elder's gaze, her heart racing. "What do you propose?" "We must offer the strongest among us," he said, his eyes narrowing. "A life for a life. It is the only way we can appease the spirits." Silence descended, thick and suffocating. The caveman's heart thundered in his chest. The notion twisted like a serrated blade. "No," he said, shaking his head fiercely. "We will not lose one of our own. Not again." But the elder's gaze was unwavering. "Without a sacrifice, the rival clan will know our weakness. They will strike when we are vulnerable." The cave woman pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling a gasp. The thought of losing a member of their tribe sent chills coursing through her veins. "What about the child?" she whispered. "The baby is weak. Would it not be better?" "No!" the caveman shouted, raw anguish in his voice. "We will protect our young, not offer them up to the shadows that lurk beyond the cave." Frustration crackled in the air like the energy before a storm. The elder's voice dropped to a whisper, laced with urgency. "This is not just about one life. It is about the survival of the tribe. If we do not sacrifice, we may all perish." The cave woman's heart raced with the weight of the choices before them. Fear clawed at her throat. What if we can outsmart the rival clan? We can use the atlatl to hunt from afar. We can gather the strongest hunters, the swiftest among us. The caveman nodded slowly, the flicker of hope igniting in his chest. "We can set traps in the forest, find food before the cold takes hold. The spirits may grant us favor if we show strength." But the elder shook his head, his voice a mournful lament. "The spirits have chosen. You must listen." The shadows in the cave seemed to close in tighter, the air crackling with tension. The child's whimper broke the silence, a reminder of fragility. The cave woman turned to the caveman, her eyes pleading. We cannot lose this fight, not now. He reached for her, fingers interlacing with hers, searching for strength in the connection. Then we fight back. We gather all who can. We will not be cowed by fear, he declared, his voice steadying like a bowstring drawn taut. The elder's eyes narrowed in skepticism, but he remained silent. As the dusk deepened outside, the caveman felt a sudden surge of clarity. The forest was alive, a tapestry of scents and sounds. Rustling leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the crisp air filled with the promise of impending snow. They could not let fear dictate their choices. They would choose courage instead. Prepare the tools, he commanded, the firelight reflecting off his determined gaze. We will hunt. We will gather. We will make our stand. The cave woman nodded, urgency coursing through her. And we shall use the smoke from the fire to confuse our enemies. They will not see us coming. As the tribe began to stir, gathering stones and sharpened sticks, the caveman took a moment to observe the faces around him. Each one was etched with determination, a fierce spirit alive in their eyes. Outside, the night grew colder, the wind howling like a pack of wolves. The caveman stepped into the chill, the crunch of frost underfoot a reminder of nature's unpredictability. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down, but within him a fire burned fiercely, one that refused to be extinguished. The rival clan would not take their home without a fight. He would ensure that. The caveman took a deep breath, the air sharp and invigorating, and he felt the resolve of his tribe bolster his spirit. As the moon rose high, casting silver light over the landscape, the caveman led the tribe into the forest, each step echoing a heartbeat of defiance. They would not just survive, they would thrive. The fire flickered behind them, a beacon of their strength, a testament to their will. The wind howled in the trees, a reminder of the storm that awaited. But the caveman marched forward, the scent of damp earth filling his nostrils, the taste of victory mingling with desperation on his tongue. They would face the night together. They would protect their young, stand united against the shadows that threatened to engulf them, and they would carve their story into the very fabric of the world, one heartbeat at a time. The tension hung thick, but as they moved deeper into the wilderness, the embers of hope ignited like the first rays of dawn, a promise that they would forge a future, unbroken and unyielding together. The air shimmered with the scent of damp earth, the ground squelching beneath their feet. Shadows danced through the thick foliage, the cacophony of life surrounding them, a symphony of rustling leaves and distant calls of creatures unseen. The caveman tightened his grip on the sturdy atlatl, its weight a familiar comfort, a reminder of his purpose. Each cautious step echoed the heartbeat of the forest, thrumming with uncertainty. The cavewoman walked beside him, her keen eyes scanning for danger, for sustenance. She clutched her crude spear, its tip hardened in the flames, a testament to their struggle and survival. A rustle in the underbrush snapped their focus. The hunter's muscles coiled, ready to spring. Silence enveloped them, thick and heavy. A distant growl rumbled, a warning. The baby, nestled in a cradle of woven grasses slung against the cavewoman's back, cooed softly, oblivious to the tension. "Go," the caveman whispered, urgency thick in his voice. The cavewoman nodded, fear glistening in her eyes. She pressed forward, instinct guiding her to a path lined with berry-laden bushes. The sweet scent filled the air, a reminder of life amidst the peril. Foraging, the cavewoman moved deftly, her fingers brushing the soft flesh of ripe berries. Her heart raced, not for herself but for the child. Each berry gathered was a small act of defiance against the chaos that loomed. Suddenly, a piercing cry ruptured the fragile calm, a signal that sent the caveman's heart racing. A rival clan had crossed into their territory, bold, reckless. The hairs on his neck prickled with primal instinct. They had come for more than foraging. This was a declaration. "Hide," he commanded, voice low but fierce. The cavewoman stumbled back, instinctively shielding the baby. They pressed against the gnarled roots of an ancient tree, its bark rough against their skin, providing scant protection. From their concealed vantage, they watched as figures emerged from the thicket, broad shoulders and sharp weapons gleaming in the dappled sunlight. The scent of smoke wafted in the air, mingling with the sweetness of the berries, creating a nauseating blend that threatened to choke them. The rival clan moved with calculated efficiency, eyes scanning, nostrils flaring. Tension knotted in the caveman's stomach. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, a mantle he had worn since the birth of the child. The instinct to protect stirred within him, stronger than any fear. "Stay quiet," he breathed, turning to the cave woman who nodded, the baby's soft whimpers barely audible. The rival clan skirmished through the underbrush, searching, seeking. One moved closer, stumbling upon the berry bushes, the vibrant colors stark against the muted greens. A hand shot out, grasping at the fruit. The caveman's heart raced. One wrong move and they would be discovered. The cavewoman's eyes darted between the rival and the woodland floor, where fallen branches lay like traps. "Now," she mouthed, her determination igniting. The caveman nodded, steeling himself. He felt the coarse grip of the atlatl, the familiar texture grounding him. With a swift movement, he launched a spear from the sacred wood. Aim true, striking true. Silence swallowed the chaos as the rival clan member staggered back. A look of bewilderment etched on his face. The caveman's breath caught. He had crossed a line, thrust them into the storm. The cavewoman's eyes widened, fear morphing into resolve. With a quick flick of her wrist, she darted behind the tree, gripping the baby closer. More cries erupted from the rival clan, panic rippling through their ranks. Shadows flew through the trees, screeches of alarm merging into the symphony of chaos. The caveman felt the weight of the world shift. This was a fight for their lives, for their child, for their future. "Run!" he shouted, the command slicing through the din. The cavewoman hesitated, but the urgency of his voice broke through. She darted into the thick underbrush, instinct guiding her toward safety. The caveman followed, heart pounding, blood roaring in his ears. Branches clawed at their skin as they plunged deeper into the wilderness, the undergrowth swallowing their fleeing figures. The cries of the rival clan echoed behind them, a haunting reminder of the danger that lurked just steps away. Fingers trembled, clutching the child close, the weight of her soft body anchoring the caveman's resolve. Each footfall sent vibrations through the earth, a primal rhythm of heartbeats and terror. The cavewoman's breath came in sharp bursts, fogging in the cool air, as fear wove its tendrils around her throat. Suddenly, a shriek pierced the dense silence. The hunter's heart raced. Had they been followed? He turned, eyes scanning the low brush, muscles coiling tight. The child's whimper sent needles of panic through him. "Stay close," came his command, a low growl that echoed in the rustling leaves. Moving deeper into the thicket, the scent of damp earth mixed with the tang of crushed berries. They stumbled upon an ancient boulder, its surface slick with moisture, like the tears of the earth. The cavewoman pressed her back against it, the cool stone a fleeting comfort. She fumbled for the rasping tool at her waist, a sharp-edged stone that had become more than a weapon. It was a symbol of protection. Nearby, the underbrush quivered, a shadow flitting through the foliage. The caveman's grip tightened around the child, her heartbeat thrumming beneath his fingers. "No noise," he hissed, eyes wide. The cavewoman nodded, fear painted across her face. Their shared glance a silent conversation laden with urgency. Time stretched, an elastic band of tension. Each rustle seemed louder, a drumbeat of impending doom. The rival clan's cries grew dimmer but no less menacing. "We cannot stay," rasped the cavewoman, her voice barely a whisper. "They'll find us here." The caveman nodded, heart pounding like thunder in his ears. With a swift motion, he surveyed the surroundings, searching for a path that would lead them away from the shadows of their pursuers. The forest was alive, a cacophony of whispers and rustles, the wind sighing through the branches like an ancient spirit warning of danger. Stumbling into a small clearing, he caught a glimpse of flickering light ahead. "Fire," he breathed, hope igniting in his chest. The flicker danced like a beacon of safety, yet shadows loomed at the edges of the clearing, flickering shapes reminding him of the unforgiving nature surrounding them. "Go," he urged, urgency propelling them forward. The cavewoman darted ahead, clutching the child fiercely, the warmth of the little one a fragile anchor against the bitter chill. As they crossed into the clearing, the wind turned, and suddenly the scent of smoke filled the air, rich and alluring, yet laced with fear. A shuffling sound behind them made the caveman's skin prickle. "Hide," he ordered in a hoarse whisper, eyes scanning for a refuge. The baby let out a soft cry, and the cavewoman stifled it with a quick hand, eyes wild with panic. They ducked behind a thicket, hearts racing, the flames ahead a promise of community. But the hunters were near. Breath held, the caveman felt the pull of instinct, an unwavering drive to protect. Shadows danced, and the rival clan's figures flickered in the firelight, a dangerous allure threatening to consume them all. The tension crackled in the air like the dry brush before a flame. The hunter's heart pounded, a war drum echoing in his ears, every beat a reminder of the child sleeping soundly in the shelter behind him. His fingers tightened around the smooth, cool grip of his spear. A low growl stirred in his throat, primal and fierce as he crouched low, muscles coiled with anticipation. A rustle from the thicket made him freeze. The rival clan moved with a practiced silence, a shadowy dance of intent. He could hear the crunch of dried leaves beneath their feet, the whisper of animal hides brushing against each other. They were close, too close, and he could smell the damp earth mixed with their sweat, a bitter tang that sent a shiver down his spine. He peered into the darkness, eyes narrowed, seeking out forms against the flickering light of their own fire. Faces emerged, sharp and angular, painted in the colors of war. They bore the marks of their fury, symbols etched deep against their skin. Breath caught in his throat. The caveman's fists clenched. They were here for more than territory. They sought vengeance. A sudden shout erupted from the rival clan, a command sharp and piercing. The hunter felt the heat of anger wash over him, but he held his ground. The weight of his responsibility anchored him. Behind him, the cavewoman stirred, her sharp eyes wide, scanning for danger. He could see the glimmer of fear in her gaze, mirrored by the flickering shadows that danced on the cave walls. "Protect the child," she hissed, voice low yet urgent. The words hung in the air, a lifeline thrown amidst the chaos. He nodded, affirming the silent bond between them, the understanding that transcended words. With a fluid grace that belied the tension in the air, he turned, stepping back toward the shelter, ready to shield the precious bundle within. His heart raced not just for himself but for the baby, whose breath was soft and innocent, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. The cavewoman followed, her presence a fierce shield, a soft warrior ready to stand against the world. The rival clan surged forward, emboldened by their numbers. He could hear the clang of weapons, the sharp whistle of a clava slicing through the air, a violent melody. The caveman's feet danced back into the shadows of their home, the protective gloom wrapping around them. "Fire!" he shouted, voice hoarse but charged with determination. The cavewoman lunged for the embers, the last remnants of their day's meal. She gathered the dry kindling, her hands deftly working to coax a flame back to life. He turned, muscles taut, ready to defend their haven. The first figure broke through the underbrush, a wild-eyed warrior brandishing a spear. The hunter's instincts kicked in. He raised his own weapon, aimed true, and launched the spear with a mighty thrust. It flew through the air, a swift shadow, piercing through the dark. The rival fell, a guttural cry escaping his lips as he crumpled to the earth, the thud echoing through the stillness. The scent of blood mingled with the earthy aroma of the ground, thick and suffocating. The caveman's heart raced, not from triumph, but from the chilling reminder of violence. The other clan members hesitated, eyes wide, uncertainty flickering in their midst. "Now!" the cavewoman cried, her voice a whip of urgency. The embers caught, flames licking upward as sparks erupted, illuminating the faces of their enemies. She hurled the blazing kindling into the depths of the night, a fiery beacon that would signal the fight for survival. The rival clan recoiled, their bravado wavering as the flames danced wildly, shadows flickering like restless spirits. The hunter seized the moment, stepping forward into the light, brandishing his spear. "Leave!" he roared, a primal growl echoing against the stone walls, reverberating through his bones. The words hung heavy in the air, laden with the weight of their home, their family. "This is our place." The rival chief, taller than the rest, stepped forward, his eyes burning with fury and defiance. The tension thickened, a taut string pulled to its limit. In that heartbeat, The world fell silent. The crackling fire, the rustling leaves, all faded into the background. "Your child is a weakness," the rival chief spat, voice low yet dripping with venom. "We will take what is ours." The hunter's heart pounded, each thud resonating with the instinct to protect, to fight. He felt the cave woman's presence behind him, steady and fierce, and it bolstered his resolve. "We are stronger together," he declared, voice steady, eyes locked onto the chief. "You will not take our future." A growl rumbled from the back of the rival clan, a chorus of dissent brewing amongst them. The caveman stepped forward, waving his spear, the firelight casting long shadows that danced on the ground. "Stand back," he warned, the command echoing through the tension. The flames crackled, sending embers spiraling into the night sky as if echoing his threat. The rival chief, undeterred, stepped forward, his own weapon raised. The hunter felt the world narrowing, every sense heightened, the smell of smoke filling his nostrils, the roar of his heart drowning out everything else. Then, out of the darkness, a shriek echoed, a warning cry. A wild animal drawn by the commotion burst into the clearing, weaving through the rival clan with a speed that left them momentarily stunned. In that split second, the hunter seized the opportunity. He lunged forward, thrusting his spear with all his might, the tip glinting in the firelight as it struck home. The rival chief gasped, eyes widening, and fell to the ground, shock and betrayal etched across his face. Silence enveloped the clearing, a fragile peace settling as the flames crackled, their warmth a stark contrast to the chill in the air. The hunter stood, chest heaving, gaze sweeping across the rival clan. They looked to their fallen leader, and in that moment, something shifted. The fear in their eyes morphed into realization, a flicker of understanding that survival would not come from bloodshed. One by one, they lowered their weapons, stepping back into the safety of the dark foliage, shadows retreating into the night. The hunter kept his spear raised, watching as they vanished into the wilderness, the weight of their potential violence dissipating into the ether. Breathless, he lowered his spear, heart still racing. The cave woman stepped beside him, her hand finding his, grounding him in the aftermath of chaos. Together they turned, the shelter beckoning, the child sleeping soundly within, untouched by the storm that had just passed. As they stepped back into the cave, the warmth of the fire enveloped them, a cocoon against the night. The scent of wood smoke mingled with the earthy smell of their home, a reminder of the fragility of life. The baby stirred, a soft coo breaking the heavy silence, that sweet sound a balm to their wounds. "Safe," the cave woman whispered, her voice low but filled with fierce pride. "Together," he replied, the truth reverberating within him. In that moment, the weight of survival settled onto their shoulders. It was a burden they would bear as a tribe, as a family, bound together by love and the fierce instinct to protect. The fire crackled, sparks flying into the night sky. Outside, the wilderness whispered its secrets, unpredictable and wild. But within the cave's embrace, they found solace. There were scars to heal, battles to fight, but for now, they were home, safe under the canopy of stars. And in the flickering shadows, hope stirred anew, a promise that they would face whatever storms lay ahead, together. With the wind howling like a wounded animal, tension coiled tightly in the air. The caveman gripped his club, knuckles white against the rough wood, every sinew in his body alert. The cave woman stood beside him, her breath shallow and quick, the scent of fear mingling with smoke from the fading fire. Shadows danced, teasing their senses, making the darkness feel alive. Faint rustling echoed from the forest's edge. Unseen eyes watched, hungry and calculating. The elder, crouched low, scanned the perimeter of their rocky shelter. His voice, gravelly and low, broke the silence. "We must defend our own. The rival clan is near." The child, still clutching the baby to her chest, looked up with wide eyes. "What if they come for the baby?" Her voice trembled, thick with unshed tears. "Not if we stand united," the cave woman replied, jaw clenched. She had seen the rival clan before, their jeers harsh as the sharp wind. They wanted what belonged to others. They thrived on chaos. A distant howl shattered the tension. It was a call, a challenge. The caveman's heart pounded, each thud resonating in the silence. "Prepare the fire. We will make our stand here." With urgency, they gathered dry twigs, long grasses, and the resinous sap from the trees, fingers working deftly in the dim light. The cave woman placed her palm against the rough wall of the shelter, feeling the coolness of the stone. "The fire will protect us," she whispered, a small comfort for the child. As flames flickered to life, the acrid smoke mingled with the sweet scent of pine. Shadows leapt across the cave, and the warmth wrapped around them like a protective cloak. But the peace was short-lived. A crash from the brush announced the arrival of the rival clan. They were a pack of shadows, eyes glinting like wild beasts, hunger etched into their features. They moved with a fluid grace, every muscle honed by survival, intent on the prize that lay within the rocky haven. "Hold your ground," the elder barked, gripping a spear tightly. The caveman stepped forward, club raised high, ready to strike. The cave woman positioned herself protectively in front of the child, the baby cradled securely in her arms. "We will not yield." The rival leader stepped forward, a sneer curling his lips. "You guard nothing but ashes. Hand over the child and we will spare you." A primal growl escaped the caveman's throat. "Over my dead body." With a sudden rush, the rival clan surged forward, a dark tide of savage intent. The caveman swung his club, feeling the satisfying crack of bone against wood as it connected. The rival leader staggered back, eyes wide with shock. The cave woman, fueled by desperation, snatched a lit branch from the fire. She hurled it towards the oncoming attackers, the flames licking the air. Bright embers scattered like stars, igniting their fear. "Back, back!" she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. But they pressed on, determined. The elder fell, a spear through his side, blood staining the earth and pooling around his body. The child screamed, a sound that sliced through the din. "Mother! Father! No!" The cave woman's heart clenched, instinct driving her to protect. She dashed forward, fierce and unyielding, the baby still held tightly against her breast. She felt the warmth of the flames at her back. The primal instinct of a mother awakened. In the chaos, a rival clan member lunged for her. She ducked, rolling across the ground, the texture of the earth gritty against her skin. Scrambling to her feet, she snatched up a sharp stone, heart racing. With a swift motion, she struck out, the blade cutting through the air and meeting flesh. Gurgling, the attacker fell, eyes wide with disbelief. The cave woman's breath came fast, a mix of horror and adrenaline. She turned, searching for the child. The caveman fought valiantly, rallying against the onslaught, but numbers pressed in. The rival clan pushed forward, seeking to overwhelm. A sudden roar erupted from the forest, the sound of a great beast, a reminder of nature's unpredictable fury. Both clans paused, fear momentarily halting their clash. The shadows shifted, and in the distance a mighty figure emerged, jaws snapping, eyes aflame with hunger. "Flee! Flee!" The hunter's voice ripped through the air, raw with urgency. The cave woman's heart thundered. The scent of fear hung thick among them, mingling with the earthy musk of damp stone. Children clung to her skirts, their small hands trembling. The elder's face was set, shadowed by age and wisdom. "Gather the fire, protect the flame," he barked, gripping a rough stone tool, its edge gleaming in the low light. The cave woman nodded, her grip tightening around the woven fibers of her blanket. She quickly knelt, hands fumbling through the ashes, seeking the last remnants of warmth. The crackle of embers whispered promises of safety, but the air was heavy with tension. Above, the sound of a distant roar echoed across the valley, a primal call that sent shivers through the gathered tribe. The leaves rustled ominously as a flicker of movement broke the tree line. The rival clan advanced, their figures weaving like shadows, faces painted with symbols of war. "We must defend our home," the hunter growled, his voice low but fierce, every muscle in his body coiled tight as a spring. He gripped his atlatl, the spear poised and ready, the sinew of his arm taut with anticipation. Fear radiated from the child, the little one hiding behind the cave woman's legs, eyes wide and glistening with unshed tears. "Will they take us?" the child whispered, voice barely a breath. "Not if we stand strong," she assured, but self-doubt gnawed at her gut. Would strength be enough against the tide of fury approaching? The elder raised his voice, calling the tribe together, their bodies huddled beneath the rocky overhang. "This is our ground, we will not yield." His words stirred a flicker of defiance, but the looming figures of the rival clan were relentless. The cave woman steadied her breath, feeling the coarse texture of the blanket against her skin, a reminder of comfort in this chaos. "Take the baby," she urged, nudging the infant toward the elder. "Safeguard her." With a nod steeped in resolve, the elder cradled the baby close, wrapping her in soft furs while the cave woman turned back to face the oncoming threat. A stone flew through the air, thudding against the rock beside her. The hunter charged forward, bellowing a challenge, his voice breaking the silence with raw fury. The cave woman felt the rush of adrenaline, the pulse of survival igniting within her. "Prepare the spears," she cried, urgency fueling her limbs. She grabbed a heavy club, feeling the cool, solid weight in her grasp. The tribe rallied, voices rising in a fierce chorus, hearts beating in unison. With a primal scream, the hunter led the charge, his figure a blur of motion. The cave woman followed, the earth trembling beneath her feet as she sprinted forward, wrath and fear intertwining in a tumultuous dance. Chaos erupted as the two clans clashed. The crack of wood against flesh echoed, mingling with the metallic tang of blood in the air. The warm sun faded behind a cloak of gray clouds, the scent of damp earth rising with the tension. Every sound was amplified, the shouts of battle, the thud of bodies, the hiss of arrows slicing through the air. The cave woman swung her club, connecting with a rival, feeling the satisfying give of bone beneath her strike. But horror seeped into her heart as she saw the rival clan's leader, a grim figure with a bloodied face, charging toward the elder and the baby. "Protect them!" she screamed, a primal roar escaping her lips. There was no room for fear now, only instinct. The hunter, sensing the danger, pivoted, deflecting a spear aimed at the elder. The two men crashed together, a whirlwind of limbs and ferocity. She could only watch, helpless, her heart pounding. In the chaos, the elder's wisdom shone bright. He whispered words of strength to the baby, stroking her tiny head, grounding her in their love even amid turmoil. The cave woman plunged forward, the rawness of battle igniting the fibers of her being. She dove into the fray, heart racing, swinging her club with a ferocity born of desperation. With one decisive blow, she felled the rival leader, the force of her action reverberating through the air like thunder. As the rival clan faltered, a moment of stillness emerged, a tense breath held in time. The air thickened with the smell of smoke and the faint tang of blood, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil. The caveman felt the weight of his spear, the rough stone tip glistening in the fading light. He tightened his grip, eyes locked on the rival clan's leader, whose defiance wavered as fear seeped into the folds of his skin. "Now!" the hunter growled, voice low and fierce. The clan surged forward, feet pounding against the earth, a chorus of primal war cries echoing through the valley. The cave woman, heart racing, stood at the edge of the fray, watching as the child clung to her leg, eyes wide with confusion and fear. She kneeled, brushing her fingers through the child's tangled hair, grounding him in the tumultuous moment. "Stay close," she whispered, voice steady despite the chaos. The child nodded, but his gaze remained fixed on the fighting figures, muscles tensed like a coiled spring. The elder observed from the shadows of an overhanging rock, arms crossed, lips pursed. He knew the price of conflict, the fragile balance of life and death. He had seen too many seasons turn to ash and bone. The clash of bone and stone rang loud as the caveman thrust his spear forward, striking true. Victory surged within him, but it was short-lived. A sharp cry drew his attention, and he turned just in time to see the rival leader swinging a heavy club. The impact sent vibrations through the air, a sound like thunder rumbling through the valley. Time slowed as he dodged, the club narrowly missing his shoulder, his heart pounding in rhythm with the chance of battle. He could taste the metallic tang of fear on his tongue, sharp and bitter. With a quick glance backward, he caught sight of the cave woman, still protecting the child. Her eyes wide yet fierce, a flame of determination ignited within. "Protect the young," the elder shouted, voice ringing above the fray. "They are our future." The caveman, fueled by the weight of responsibility, charged once more. He dodged another blow from the rival leader, using his momentum to throw his weight into a powerful thrust. The spear pierced through flesh, a sickening sound echoing in the air. The rival leader fell, eyes wide in shock, a fleeting moment of recognition passing between them. Yet victory was not without its price. A spear from the rival clan found its mark, striking the caveman in the thigh. Pain radiated like wildfire, consuming his thoughts. He stumbled, falling to one knee. Breath labored as he fought to stay conscious. The world around him blurred, sounds muffled by the thundering pulse in his ears. "Caveman!" the cavewoman cried, a wail of despair piercing through the chaos. In that moment, a fierce surge of instinct propelled him forward, the need to protect his family outweighing the agony that clawed at him. He gripped the shaft of his spear, determination hardening his resolve. He pushed himself up, the ground shifting beneath his weight, and in one powerful motion he hurled the spear at the nearest rival, watching it find its mark with a dull thud. The tide of battle shifted. The rival clan, now bereft of their leader, faltered. The caveman could see fear spreading through them, like smoke on the wind. They began to retreat, backs turned, the taste of defeat on their tongues. "Chase them! Do not let them return!" the hunter shouted, raising his arms high, rallying the tribe behind him. The cavewoman, still holding the child close, sensed the shift. "We must help him," she urged, but the elder stepped in, gripping her arm gently but firmly. "He fights for us. We must protect the future. Stay." With a swift nod, the cavewoman turned, leading the child away from the fray, where the air was thick with the scent of sweat and smoke. They made their way to the edge of the battlefield, watching as warriors of their clan erupted into a cacophony of victory cries. But the caveman's fight was far from over. Blood poured from his wound, pooling in the dirt beneath him, soaking through his deerskin tunic. He could feel the warmth slipping from his body, his vision dimming as he attempted to stand tall against the rising tide of darkness. Moments stretched like eternity. He watched as one by one, his fellow tribesmen dispatched the fleeing rivals, their cries echoing through the valley, resonating with triumph. But amidst the victory, shadows loomed. He felt the earth shift beneath him, the vibrations of distant echoes reminding him of the unpredictability of nature. "Caveman!" a familiar voice called, the cavewoman racing back to him, a bundle of woven fibers and animal skins in her arms. "Help me," he said, voice barely a whisper, the weight of exhaustion pulling at him. "Stay strong," she urged, kneeling beside him. With deft hands, she wrapped the fibers tightly around his thigh, stanching the flow of blood. The stench of iron hung heavy in the air as she worked, her face a mask of determination. "Breathe," she coaxed, her fingers brushing against his cheek, a soft touch amidst the chaos. As she tied the final knot, the elder approached, his face lined with concern. "You fought well," he acknowledged, voice low yet laced with pride. "Now you must heal." The caveman nodded, a faint smile breaking through the haze of pain. He could see the child peering out from behind the cavewoman, wide eyes shimmering with a mix of fear and admiration. He reached out, and the child stepped closer, his small hand finding the caveman's. "Brave," the child whispered, voice a soft echo. In that moment, the weight of sacrifice and survival settled into the caveman's bones. He was not just a fighter, he was a protector, a pillar of strength for his family and clan. The echoes of battle faded into the background as he focused on the warmth of the small hand in his, a reminder of the bond that held them together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the valley, the caveman felt a sense of peace wash over him. The rival clan had retreated for now, their threat momentarily quelled. But the world was unpredictable, and survival required vigilance. "Together," he whispered, the word carrying the weight of the future. The cavewoman nodded, determination shining in her eyes. The elder stood tall beside them, while the child nestled closer, their tribe coalescing around them in a new dawn. The battle may have ended, but the journey ahead was just beginning, and they would face it together, bound by blood and fire, ready to embrace whatever came next. Smoke curled upward, mingling with the crisp morning air. The cavewoman knelt beside the embers of the dying fire, stirring the ashes with a sharpened bone. Her hands, calloused yet tender, felt the warmth seep through her fingertips. Around her, the tribe began to gather, faces marked by soot and weariness but alive with hope. The elder's voice broke the silence. New day, new paths. His words hung in the air, heavy yet comforting. The child, wide-eyed, watched as the hunter strung his spear, sinew taut against the wood, a promise of sustenance. There, amidst the gathering, the baby cooed softly, a reminder of the fragile threads that bound them all. A sharp wind cut through the clearing, rustling the leaves above. The cave woman shivered but held her ground, the earth beneath her bare feet cool and solid. She inhaled deeply, the scent of damp earth and pine mingling with the crisp remnants of smoke. Each breath was a testament to survival. They prepared for the hunt, laughter spilling from lips despite the shadows of the past. The cave woman tied her hair back with fibers, feeling the weight of their struggles lift ever so slightly. The tribe was resilient, a tapestry woven from shared sacrifice and whispered fears. They had lost much, but in that loss, unity had been forged like the sharp edges of flint. As they set out, footsteps echoing against the stone, the child clutched the cavewoman's hand tightly. "Will we find food?" they asked, voice small in the embrace of the vast wilderness. "Yes," she replied, squeezing back. "Together, we will find our way." With that, they stepped into the forest, the sun breaking through the canopy, illuminating their path ahead, no longer just survivors but a family reborn beneath the watchful eyes of the mountains. The forest breathed around them, rich with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. A chorus of rustling leaves and distant bird calls filled the air, a reminder of life beyond. The caveman led the way, senses sharpened, heart steady. Each footfall crunched softly on twigs, a melody of purpose. The cavewoman glanced at the child, wrapped snugly in her arms, warmth radiating from the tiny body. She felt the pulse of life, the rhythm of survival echoing through her veins. The baby stirred, lips twitching as if searching for sustenance. A flicker of worry flashed through her. Hunger clawed at her gut, a reminder of their precarious existence. They found a clearing, the earth smoothed by the passage of time. Patches of sun spilled across the ground, illuminating a patch of wild roots. The caveman knelt, fingers brushing the coarse fibers, testing their strength. He glanced back, eyes meeting the cavewoman's. A silent agreement passed between them. Together they began to dig, nails scraping against the stubborn soil. The child cooed softly, the sound mingling with the rustling leaves. Each root unearthed was a small victory, a burst of hope. The caveman dug deeper, hands raw and trembling, sweat mixing with the forest's cool air. Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush froze them. Muscles tensed, breath held. The caveman reached for his spear, its weight familiar and reassuring. The cavewoman cradled the child closer, heart racing, primal instincts flaring. Shadows moved among the trees, a rival clan, eyes glinting with hunger. Fear clutched their hearts, but determination surged within. They were no longer just survivors. They would protect their own. A fierce resolve settled in the caveman's chest. With a growl, he stepped forward, spear raised, and faced the threat head-on.
What would you do to protect someone you love? Share your survival strategy in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more epic caveman tales.